Okay, hi guys. It's Dr. Maisam, naturopathic doctor, and just to make sure that you guys can see me and hear me. Hey Zana. Okay, awesome. So thumbs up or just any sign that you guys can hear me and see me would be awesome. Okay, awesome. I am super excited to be here today and to be talking to you guys. And a big thank you to Run the World Summit and Zena for having me on. For those of you guys who have seen my posts on social media, I am Dr. Maisam, naturopathic doctor. And basically, naturopathic medicine. Oh, what the topic is for today is that we're going to be talking about managing your stress and your anxiety throughout these turbulent times. So, a lot of us are going through a lot of uncertainty basically in our lives, in our businesses, and for a lot of us who are experiencing something like this for the first time, getting a handle on our stress and our anxiety can be something that is super, super beneficial to us. And gaining some tools like life skill tools that we can be able to use not only in our current situation, but then things that we can also implement later on in our lives is super helpful. So before we start talking about stress and anxiety, I just wanted to quickly mention what naturopathic medicine is and basically what kind of treatment options we have. So as a naturopathic doctor, we believe that your stress, we believe that your lifestyle choices, your diet, your sleep, all of these things affect your overall wellness and your overall well-being. And so the way that we treat or the different treatment options that we have are more natural based because we believe in developing a healthier lifestyle for you and helping you and guiding you throughout that process. So let's get into today's basically big topic, and it is managing stress and anxiety. So I like to talk about the analogy of jumping on a trampoline when it comes to stress and anxiety. So initially, when you're jumping on this trampoline, you're able to jump up and down, up and down, up and down, and you're able to bounce back. And that's what we call your acute phase of stress. However, as time goes by, what tends to happen is that maybe that trampoline starts to wear out, or maybe that trampoline starts to thin out, or maybe it starts to get holes in it. And so what happens is that your ability to bounce back and up is not as great as it was. So when you were bouncing back up and down, that's kind of like your acute phase of your stress. And when your trampoline starts to thin out, you're more into your chronic state of stress. And eventually what happens is that trampoline can have bigger holes, and the holes get so big you end up hitting the ground and there's no bounce back. And so your resiliency to that stress has gone down a lot. So for those of you who guys are joining us right now, I can see some questions coming in, and it says people are asking about the session and the topic for today. So the topic in the session is about stress and anxiety. So basically what happens is that if we are not aware of what our bodies are communicating to us, and if we are not aware of what kinds of red flags we have, then in terms of our acute stress or our chronic stress, then it's a lot harder for us to be able to take a minute and stop and kind of think about how we want to go forwards with how we're dealing with the current situation. So sometimes your body may be communicating to you and maybe telling you that, hey, maybe your body's communicating to you and telling you, hey, there's something else here that you need to watch out for. So mentally, sometimes being under stress for a long period of time can show up as negativity or lack of self-confidence. Some people may feel like they have a low mood, or they're socially withdrawing from other people. I know I am stressed out, or I'm burning out when I no longer have that kind of like patience with everything and things around me in general. And physically it can show up in many different ways as well. So some of the symptoms or signs that maybe you are you're feeling a lot of stress is that maybe you're going to get a lot of headaches. You might also have a lot of muscle tension in different areas in your body. A lot of the times we carry a lot of our tension over here in our shoulders. So that's something else that you may experience. A lot of other people can start to have trouble sleeping, and we're going to talk a lot about sleep today because I think sleep is so essential for your mental health, for your body's well-being. So there's different ways and forms, and other people can get headaches. There's different signs and symptoms that your body is basically communicating to you and telling you, hey, there's something going on here that I want you to pay attention to. Oftentimes we ignore those things and we keep going, and what happens is that we end up burning out, and we don't want you guys to be there. We want to try and avoid burning out as much as possible. So the first tip that I have for you guys in terms of managing your stress and your anxiety, especially in these times, is to focus on the things that you can do instead of the things that you can't do. So some of the things that you can do or you have control over doing include basically whatever list of things that you had running through your mind of all the things that you said you wish you had more time to do. Well, now we're being given that opportunity to do those things. So do it yourself home projects, reorganizing certain things in your house, learning a new skill, learning a new language, spending more time at home or with the people that you care about who are living with you, can all be very beneficial and can all be good uses of your time. Because I know that there's a lot of things that unfortunately right now you probably aren't as able to do. So focusing and shifting your mindset in terms of what your productivity means to you now, and not trying to compare it to what it was a month ago or what it was before the quarantine. That can go a long way. The second big tip is to monitor your intake of information. So we live in a day and age where information is so accessible to a lot of us, especially those of us that live in Canada. And if we are constantly following up with the news and following certain pieces of information, some of it may be accurate, some of it might not be, especially if we're just consuming a lot of information from social media, it can get overwhelming. So there is a fine line between being educated about what's happening in the world and what's happening in the communities that's around you, and feeling like you're very overwhelmed and stressed out. And so we want to try and find what that balance is for you, and it's very much a trial and error process. So some tangible tips that you can take away can include, first of all, limiting where you're getting your sources of information from. The WHO is a very known and credible source. The Public Health Agency of Ontario is another one, or the Public Health Agency of Canada is another one. So making sure that where you are reaching out for information, that those places, I will be checking the questions as soon as I'm done. So if you guys have questions about stress or anxiety, feel free to leave them in the comment section or in the question mark, like little card with the question mark on it. Where was I? Yeah, so making sure that wherever you're getting your sources of information is a credible source can help and can go a long way. So that's important. And then the second big tangible tool that you can use or skill is to set time checks. So maybe being educated means checking the news sources in the morning and then in the evening, instead of constantly scrolling through or constantly listening to that feed of news all the time or on an hourly basis, because it does get repetitive, and then it can push you into that feeling, into that stage of feeling like you're overwhelmed with information. So that's basically the second biggest tip, is to monitor your news intake and where you're getting your information and how often you're getting your information about everything that's happening around us. Now, the third big tip I would say is especially important for us is making sure that we are maintaining some kind of physical activity routine. So whether that be we are still able, I know like for us here in Canada, we're still able to go outside, we're still able to enjoy nature walks or walks around our neighborhoods while maintaining physical distancing. So the really important thing about exercise right now is that, and well, even before, is basically that it helps support your body in terms of producing different neurotransmitters, and it also helps to produce a lot of endorphins, and endorphins are what makes us feel good. It makes they uplift our mood, they uplift our energy. So it can help, exercise or movement on a daily basis can really help to put you at ease with the situation, because A, you're taking your mind off of things, B, you're producing a ton of hormones and a ton of neurotransmitters that literally make you feel good. I know a lot of people are being very, very generous with their workout routines right now, and they're posting a lot of things online. So if you opt and want to stay at home and prefer that instead of going out for walks or doing things outside, then make sure that you are reaching out for those kinds of tools because they are readily available for us. So there's a lot of like workouts you can do or you can follow at home, and they're super, super helpful. So that would be probably the third big tip that you guys can use. And then tip number 4 is one of my favorite things to talk about even before the quarantine, but now I feel like it is even more important to talk about it, is diet. So we all saw the memes in the first few weeks of the quarantine and about the weight gain and the weight changes with being at home. And I think that your diet, I have always said this, and I will always continue to say this, it is essential to how your mood feels. It is essential to how your body is going to behave and how your whole entire well-being is going to be. So when we talk about diet and your health in general, the first thing is that it's going to start in the grocery store. What you end up putting in your grocery cart is what you're going to end up eating, especially now that a lot of us are choosing to stay more at home, or we're not ordering food from outside as much, or we're not eating out at different restaurants. A lot of that is not even an option right now for us. And so we're basically eating our breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks at home. So what we end up putting in our cart is literally what we are going to be putting in our bodies. So we can either opt to reach for comfort foods, and yeah, the snacking is totally real, and the eating at night is also real. So if we're constantly reaching for comfort foods, things that are high in processed meats and processed foods in general, and things that are high in refined sugars, what's going to happen is that your blood sugar levels are going to yo-yo. So whenever you're eating something like a donut, for example, something that's really high in sugar, and refined sugar specifically, your blood sugar levels are going to peak and then really very quickly. And then really quickly after that, they're going to dip. And this constant yo-yoing of your blood sugar levels creates an internal stress into your body from the inside. And your adrenal glands, which are these like very tiny but very mighty organs, they sit on top of your kidneys. They're trying their best to produce a lot of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and they're also producing sex hormones. But basically what's happening with that constant yo-yoing of your blood sugar levels, your cortisol is like also going to start producing in higher amounts to kind of help manage what's happening on the inside of your body. So you're stressed out externally because of everything that's happening, and then you're making decisions in terms of your food choices that you're putting in your body that is also causing a lot of stress internally in your body, that's causing a lot of cortisol to be produced as well. And we don't want to put our bodies in that kind of situation, because you're essentially creating a lot more inflammation than there needs to be in your body. So what are some things that we can reach out for instead? Are things that are high in healthy proteins and things that are high in healthy fats. Because when we're eating things that are high in healthy proteins and things that are high in healthy fats, we're able to stabilize or help regulate our blood sugar levels. So instead of going like that, you're going more like that, and that's a lot more stable, and that's a much healthier environment for your blood sugar levels and for a lot of your organs in your body. So eating things like eggs are really high in healthy proteins. Eating things that are high in healthy fats as well include raw nuts. And we always want to make sure that we're consuming raw nuts instead of roasted nuts, because anytime we are eating or consuming anything that's like roasted, especially when it comes to nuts or seeds, the healthy types of fats are changed into the unhealthy types of fats. And so we always want the healthy types of fats, because a lot of your hormones in your body are produced from one precursor, and that precursor is cholesterol. So you want to make sure that the kind of cholesterol that you're getting in your body is coming from a healthy type of fat and not an unhealthy type of fat. So you have your eggs, you have your raw nuts, you have your raw seeds, which also contain a lot of essential nutrients like zinc, like magnesium, and the raw nuts also have a lot of fiber in them, so they help you get rid of a lot of toxins in your body. And then there's also avocados, which I love, and they're really great in healthy fats. And olive oil, of course. And whenever we cook with olive oil, we want to try as much as possible to not use the very high heat on the olive oil, because it will also change the type of fat from the really great type of healthy fat to the not so great type of fat. All my snacks are canceled in 10 minutes. Okay, so there's a ton of really healthy recipes that you guys can find for snacks and everything that you can eat in terms of snacks and just meals that you guys can find. I share a lot on my Instagram, so feel free to follow me on there, because I've been posting a ton of recipes. I love the minimalist baker. I love things that don't take a lot of time to make, but they're still very healthy and they're still made from raw ingredients. In terms of supplements that we can take to kind of help us cope with the stress, so those adrenal glands that we talked about just a bit ago, the ones that are sitting on top of your kidneys and they're like working really hard when you're stressed out, trying to produce as much cortisol as possible. What's happening is, in the process of making the cortisol, or your stress hormone, you are using up a lot of different vitamins and minerals. And the top three things that are probably going to be affected, or that end up being used up the most in making your stress hormones, are your magnesium levels, your vitamin C, and your vitamin B5 and vitamin B6. So those three things are probably the top three that I would say are the most used, or the most used resources when we're making a lot of cortisol hormones, or cortisol hormone. So what can we do? The important thing to know about magnesium is that because we live in North America, the soil that we have here is not very rich in magnesium. So we're already not getting a lot of it from our diet, which is not great. And then we live in this like North American culture where we're stressed out a lot, and given the current circumstances, we're experiencing maybe more stress than usual, so that is stressing us out as well. So we end up using a lot of magnesium, and we're not getting a lot of it from the diet. So supplementation can be important. There's different types of magnesiums that you can find, and different magnesiums do different things in your body. So for example, magnesium bisglycinate is one that really helps to loosen up your muscles, versus magnesium citrate helps to target your digestive system more. And a lot of the time I've seen in practice people taking it when they're more on the constipated side. So magnesium is one. Vitamin C, we all know about the health benefits of vitamin C, also for immune boosting support. So vitamin C is a really great one. And then your vitamins B5 and B6. And for any of the ladies who are watching who have PMS problems or cramping, basically vitamins B5 and B6 are really big ones to kind of help support that process as well. So so vitamin C, magnesium, and vitamin B5, B6 are really important for us when we're coping with, or when we're undergoing a period of chronic stress. And then we can talk about basically herbal supplements. So there are things out there that you guys will find if you go to a health food store, or if you're talking to your naturopathic doctor, be sure to ask them about adaptogens. So adaptogens are herbal supplements that you can take that help your adrenal glands, which are those tiny organs that are sitting on top of your kidneys, producing a lot of your stress hormones. They are going to help your adrenal glands cope with the stress. So there's many different types of herbal supplements, and there's some that are also targeting patients who have more anxiety-like symptoms. So there's things like lavender, and basically what they do is they extract certain active ingredients from the herbs and they put them in supplement form, and then you can take them. So things like lavender, things like ashwagandha, rhodiola, all of these things are holy basil. All of these things are really great for helping your body kind of cope with the stress. The biggest thing is that I always say to patients or to people in general whenever I do talks is to never self-prescribe herbal supplements, or in general supplements in general, because even though they are considered natural, that does not mean that they will not interact with other medications that you're taking, and that doesn't mean that they are appropriate for your body and what your body needs. And when it comes to stress, there's a big theory called the adrenal fatigue theory. And in this adrenal fatigue theory, they go through 3 different stages of of stress. And basically you want to be talking to someone who's licensed to be able to give you a supplement that kind of helps pair you up depending on where you are in the adrenal fatigue stage theory. So that's my biggest note about things that you can do in terms of the diet. And then my fifth go-to for managing stress and anxiety is focusing on sleep and developing really great sleep habits. What's really great kind of in a way about this time is that we don't have a lot of commitments at night as we may usually have, and so we can focus on developing a really strong sleep routine. The reason why it is really, really important for us to develop a really good sleep routine is because when we're sleeping, and especially if we're getting into that deep REM stage of sleep, we are able to repair a lot of things in our body. We're also able to help improve our brain function. We're able to improve our memory. So there's a lot of great benefits to sleep. And I know I am not the only one that can say this, but whenever I wake up and I haven't gotten my best sleep, I'm more cranky and I'm more likely to reach out for foods that are not so healthy. I'm more likely to consume probably more caffeine and more sugar than that's needed during that day, but it's because I just don't feel like I have what I usually have to kind of help me get through the day. So sleep is really important. If we are, so I always like to ask people, what is it that you're doing 30 minutes before going to bed? And if your routine, those last 30 minutes before going to bed is involving you looking at some screens or sitting in an area where there's a lot of light, those things can basically disrupt the way your brain is producing melatonin. And melatonin is that hormone that is really, really great for helping you stay asleep and helping you fall asleep. And for us to be able to produce appropriate amounts of melatonin, we need to be not sitting in a room where there's a lot of light. We need to be not sitting in front of our electronics and our devices for a minimum of 30 minutes before going to bed. So there's a lot of other things that you can do. You can, I know a lot of people find taking a hot bath or a shower very relaxing before going to bed. And that can be like a signal that you're giving your body, once you have a routine going and you're consistent with it, that your body starts to understand that this is the time that I'm getting ready for bed. So taking a hot bath, taking a hot shower can be helpful. I've recently got into the habit of doing a lot of stretching and yoga before going to bed. And I just do whatever feels right. I don't like following like a specific video or program. I just listen to my body, and I am using that time to connect with myself and connect with my body and what my body needs at that time. So a lot of stretching, a lot of deep breathing and belly breathing. And belly breathing is one of my favorite things to do. So basically, when you are engaging in belly breathing, you're focusing on your breath and it's coming from your belly, not your chest. So a lot of the time during the day, we're breathing through our chest. And for a lot of people who have anxiety, you may have experienced that. But when you're breathing through your belly, you're able to take control of your breath in a different way. And you're focusing on increasing, you're basically increasing and decreasing your abdomen like width, I guess it's called. Width maybe. But you're taking your breaths from your belly. And one of the really great ways of kind of getting your brain to focus in on your belly, because you're focusing your attention on your belly, is to put your hands on your belly and to imagine yourself drawing a square in your mind. So what you're doing is, when you're going up, you're going to take 3 seconds to take your breath in through your nose, and then you're going to hold it there for 3 seconds, and then you're going to exhale out through your mouth for 3 seconds, and then you're going to hold for 3 seconds. And in your mind, you're picturing drawing like a square, and you're going around in that motion, and you're also being mindful that your diaphragm, or your belly's moving up and down as you're taking your breath. And doing that for a few seconds can really help just ground you and calm you and put you in a state of relaxation. So those would be like the biggest tips I would say when it comes to stress and when it comes to sleep specifically. And so what you're doing before you're going to bed is essential to how you're setting the tone for that night's sleep and how you're setting the tone for your productivity and everything that's to come for you for the next day. Like we said earlier, when we first started our talk, we are going through a time of uncertainty, and that could bring a lot of stress and anxiety for a lot of us. But there's definitely things that you can do in your day-to-day that you can start to incorporate that can help relieve that stress and anxiety, but can also help teach you life skill tools, because even after all of this is over, we're still going to face adversity, and we're still going to face challenging times in our lives. And so learning how to manage our stress and anxiety is such an important life skill tool. So when it comes to whether it comes down to adjusting your diet and your eating habits or your sleep habits, or your exercise routine, and listening to what your body really wants and needs at this time, and not just pushing for the sake of pushing, but just taking the time to actually be present with your body, and then focusing specific to these times, focusing on where we're getting our information from and how much of it we're consuming, and trying to maintain that balance of being educated but not overwhelmed. And then the last tip would be to basically focus on all the things that you can do versus the things that you can't do. So changing our mindset in that way. All right, so I hope you guys found that useful. I'm gonna try and look through some of these questions. Oh wow. Okay, so someone asked, if you guys have any questions, by the way, feel free to leave them in the comments section or in that little area with the checkbox on it. Oh, I put a sticker. Okay, so someone is asking, what are some natural teas or herbs we can consume during the day that help with stress but does not make us feel sleepy? Okay, that's a great question. So I love lavender, and I love everything that has to do with lavender. I find it to be one of the most relaxing and calming herbs out there for me, and that's what's working for me. I also love lavender because there's different ways that you can use it. So you can use the essential oil, not internally, I would say, but you can put a few drops of your lavender essential oil on your pillowcases before going to bed. And the aroma of it, the aromatherapy is super relaxing. You can also add a few drops of the lavender essential oil into your diffuser, and then you have aromatherapy all throughout your room. And again, once you're in a habit of developing a really great sleep routine, then your body starts to understand and your mind starts to understand and interpret those signals as things as it starts to link them with relaxation and calming and sleep, and it just like puts you in a better state for that night that's to come. So lavender is a great one also because I don't find like the lavender tea specifically to be something that has a lot of sedative properties to it, so I don't feel super sleepy when I consume it. And then the other thing that I wanted to say, so because it was for natural teas or things that you can consume, oats are very nutritive, and they also have a lot of anxiolytic properties to them, so they can help relax you as well. So incorporating oats into your diet can help as well. Someone also asked, do you feel like we should be productive? What if we feel like we can't be? I love this question because that's something that I have actually been listening to. I have actually been asking myself that, and also been talking about it with a lot of my colleagues and my friends. I think practicing self-love and self-kindness is so important in life, and so important right now, and with everything that's happening to us. And if you are hitting a wall and you feel like you can't do the things that you want to do right now, I think it's okay to just tell yourself it's okay. Like, it's okay if things are not getting done as quickly, or if they're not getting done as productively, or because we're living in a different time right now, and it can be a very slippery slope if we're continuously comparing ourselves even to ourselves a month and a half ago or a month ago. The situation is completely different. So what was productive and what was feasible for me a month and a half ago is just not what's productive and feasible for me now. And for a lot of business owners, if there's any business owners listening out there, it's the same with our businesses. Like what I was doing a month and a half ago is just not going to be working right now, and I have to adapt. And you got to be kind to yourself. So that's my answer to that. There's another question. What are some natural teas? We asked that. We answered that one. Okay. As a regular early bird, why do I feel like I want to sleep longer than usual? Do you think this is normal? Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that we can go about talking about why we're oversleeping maybe, or we're sleeping more than usual. So number one, sometimes when our mood is not that great, we tend to oversleep, or we tend to sleep more. So that's something that you want to talk to your doctor about, just to make sure that there's no like underlying depression happening. Other really important things is when our certain vitamins in our body are not at optimal levels, or certain nutrients, then we tend to feel a lot more tired, and so we end up sleeping a lot more. So some of these things include your iron or your ferritin stores, your vitamin B12, your vitamin D. All of these things are really important for your mood, and also for how you're feeling when you're waking up in the morning, how much energy you have during the day. And sometimes we're sleeping more. Either we're not eating the right types of foods that are giving us proper energy, or we're not absorbing them. Or if you had a very structured routine and now you're broken out of that routine, and you're not waking up because you have to go for that meeting, or you have to go for whatever appointment it is, breaking out of that routine has made you sleep more. So I think a part of the answer is trying to figure out, because it's so subjective to you, what has changed in your life. Are you sleeping later and so you're sleeping in more? There's so many different factors. Are you not eating the same way? Are you deficient? Maybe reach out and talk to your doctor, talk to a naturopathic doctor about trying to figure out if you are deficient in something. Then boosting you through supplementation, that could help at this time. So there's many different reasons why you may be oversleeping. Do you recommend any podcasts on mindfulness or mental health? I know Oprah and Deepak Chopra, I don't know if I'm saying that name right, they have really great ones. And then I think it's called Soulful something, maybe Soulful Sundays with Oprah. And she also has another so basically Oprah and Deepak have a podcast, but I think it's also on YouTube, and it's like a 21-day mindfulness meditation kind of like challenge that they've done. So that would be one. The other one would be the one where Oprah interviewed Eckhart Tolle. He's one of my favorite authors, and he talks a lot about like the conscious awakening of the soul and being really mindful and being very present in the now. And he has amazing books. And so that's with the other one that I would point you guys to. And then I believe there was Super Soul Sundays. Yes, thank you, Zena. Zena knows what I was trying to refer to. I think there's a question about vitamin D. What about vitamin D? Does lack of vitamin D contribute to anxiety? Lack of vitamin D contributes to a lot of things. So your immune system, your hair health, your skin, your nails, your mood. Vitamin D has a big role to play with your mood as well, and feelings of depression. So it's not just anxiety. So vitamin D, and because we live in North America, a lot of our we don't get a lot of exposure to sun. And so a lot of us are deficient. So vitamin D is a really big thing for us to supplement with, either orally or with injections. Although now, given the quarantine situation, naturopathic doctors were not able to do the injections, but I'm sure that you can get guidance in terms of how you can supplement for it if you need it. I'm just looking through to see if there are any more questions here. All right. I think that's it for questions. But I hope you guys enjoyed this and benefited. I had such a great time talking to you guys, and thank you for being so engaging. What an amazing, positive group we had here. If you guys have any more comments or want to reach out to me, feel free to find me on Instagram. That's the place where I'm at most of the time. And I'd love to connect with you guys. And I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Bye.